Paul moves through abandoned streets gathering supplies when the warning sirens start blaring. He runs quickly, dodging smoke, chaos, and screams echoing through the city. Soon, black clouds rise, and Paul reaches a quiet countryside house. Inside, he finds 2 babies left behind, picks them up and whispers that everything will be okay. 15 years later, the boys, Thomas and Joseph, are strong and healthy. Every day they go out for supplies, but at night they hide. As the sun fades, Joseph boards up the windows while calling their dog Rocco. Paul waits outside until Thomas arrives late, scolding him. Thomas explains he was helping the Rose family nearby. Inside, they secure every door before eating. Paul warns Thomas never to be late again, or he'll lose his freedom. Joseph teases him, and the brothers fight until Paul breaks it up, reminding them they are men, not animals. After dinner, Paul watches them play chess, but Rocco starts scratching the floor nervously. Suddenly, loud knocks shake the door. The monsters outside try forcing their way in. Paul and Thomas hold the door until after long minutes of banging, the creatures give up. Paul breathes heavily. Hey, what would you do if monsters hunted your family every night? The movie I'll recap is Arcadian, an Irish horror thriller starring Nicolas Cage. The next morning, Thomas blames Joseph for not helping with the door. Joseph explains he was observing, noting 3 attacks. One lasted 10 seconds. The second 20, and the last just 1. He believes the creatures were testing them. The family inspects the claw-marked door and realizes it won't last another night. They gather wood to reinforce it. Thomas cuts wood, while Joseph secretly tinkers in the workshop. Paul discovers he's building a car, tired of living in fear. Paul fixes it, and for the first time in years, the car runs. Excited, Paul takes the boys on a short ride before reminding them to reinforce the house.
I need you to go down to the river with your brother and salvage.
You said that if I stacked...
Right, but the window covers need to be reinforced.
He sends them to the river for supplies, though Thomas wants to visit Charlotte at the Rose farm. Annoyed, he argues with Joseph during the drive. Passing the farm, Thomas hops out, asking Joseph to pick him up later. At home, Paul strengthens the door. Near a waterfall, he notices a strange hole in the rocks. Meanwhile, Joseph ties the car to an old boat and searches it for salvage. He finds a photo, then is startled by swarms of bugs bursting from the trash, forcing him to retreat. At the farm, Thomas helps the family, but mainly spends time with Charlotte. She shows him a childhood rope tied to a tree that let her play outside while tethered. They laugh, share wild theories about the end of the world, and she hugs him tightly before he leaves. Back at the river, Joseph struggles to restart the car, but finally succeeds. At that moment, Thomas runs desperately, slipping into a deep crack in the ground. Joseph, unaware, drives home. When Paul learns Thomas is missing, he orders Joseph to lock up while he and Rocco search. In the crack, Thomas wakes injured. The lighter, he sees a monstrous arm reach through a tunnel. He stabs it, but another creature attacks from above, choking him. Just before fainting, Paul arrives and kills it. Father and son, along with Rocco, find a tunnel leading out, but are trapped as monsters shift underground, collapsing dirt over the exit. Paul orders his son back as he shoves a flare into the hole, creating an explosion that wounds him too. At home, Joseph hears strange noises. He builds a rope trap, pretending to sleep near the door. A creature tests the entrance, then slips inside. Joseph triggers his trap, capturing it. Satisfied, he covers it with a sheet and rests. By morning, worried about his missing family, Joseph drives out. Meanwhile, Thomas digs through dirt, pulling his badly injured father free. They reunite with Joseph and together carry Paul back home. But when Thomas lifts the sheet hiding the monster, it goes wild. Joseph covers it again, warning that light hurts them. He notes their behavior is changing. The last attack was their fastest yet. Tensions rise. Thomas insists the creatures are intelligent, maybe seeking revenge. Joseph argues Paul is the only one strong enough to kill them. To prove himself, Thomas tries killing the trapped one. But during the struggle, it escapes under the bed. When it attacks, Rocco barks.
Rocco, no! Rocco!
And Thomas finally chops its head off. Joseph drags the body to the workshop, dissecting it as insects gather. But answers don't come. Thomas insists they must take Paul to the Roses for real medicine. Joseph doubts they'll help. Reluctantly, they go. At the farm, Charlotte's parents refuse Paul entry, fearing his wounds. They allow only Thomas to stay. Furious, Joseph takes Paul home, blaming his brother for their father's looming death. The brothers fight bitterly before Joseph drives away. That night, Thomas shares food with Charlotte, a kiss, but her father interrupts. Meanwhile, Joseph notices dirt trails near their house signs that creatures are burrowing beneath. He arms himself, sealing windows, but falls through a rug into a hidden hole.
Oh.
The monsters are already inside. At the farm, Thomas secretly takes medicine from Charlotte, but he's caught by workers who accuse him of stealing. They tie him up in the garage, blasting music to cover his screams. A man prepares to cripple him, but suddenly the floor collapses as creatures erupt. Chaos begins. Inside, Charlotte's parents wake. Her father grabs a candle, but monsters rush them, killing both parents brutally. Fire spreads as more beasts appear. In the garage, workers are slaughtered one by one. Thomas breaks free as Charlotte saves him from an attack. Together, they flee the burning farm, realizing her parents are gone, and as the flames spread, they decide to run toward Thomas's home. Back at Paul's house, Joseph feels the walls closing in. His father lies unconscious, burning with fever, and the tunnels around the house shift with movement. Dirt sprinkles from the ceiling as if the creatures are already clawing through the foundation. Joseph boards up the holes, drags furniture across the floor, and prepares for a last stand. He kneels by Paul, pressing a kiss to his forehead, whispering an apology in case this is the end. Suddenly, the door bursts open, but it's not a monster. It's Thomas and Charlotte, their clothes burned and torn, their faces marked with soot. At the same moment, Paul coughs awake, his voice weak but commanding. For the first time, the family is reunited, but there's no time to celebrate. The ground shakes, the creatures are coming. Joseph shares his desperate plan: gather fuel, set a trap, and hide in an old freezer in the basement. Together, they pile furniture at the doors, dousing it in gasoline. To ignite it, Joseph balances a lit cigarette as a makeshift fuse. The air grows heavy. They can hear clicking noises and screeches from underground. The family readies weapons. Then, chaos erupts. One monster squeezes down the chimney, another bursts through the floorboards, and more slam at the doors. The sound is deafening. Thomas rushes forward, stabbing at the first while Charlotte fires a shotgun, knocking another backward. Joseph swings a hammer wildly, shattering the skull of one that lunges from the shadows. Paul, though barely standing, grabs a rifle. He blasts at the ground, sending dirt and blood spraying as he hits creatures tunneling below. They pour in like a flood, forcing the family into every corner of the house. For a moment, it seems hopeless, and so father and sons fight together, striking in rhythm, finishing each beast that makes it inside. For the first time, Paul sees his boys as warriors, no longer children, but the house won't hold. The walls crack, the roof sags, and monsters still circle outside. Paul lingers behind, looking at Thomas and Joseph with quiet pride. Memories flash of the night he found them as babies, abandoned and helpless, when he swore to protect them no matter what. Now, they are ready to survive without him. The cigarette burns down, a spark catches. Flames roar across the gasoline-soaked floor. In seconds, the entire house erupts in fire, collapsing in on itself. The freezer tumbles violently as debris rains down. When the noise fades, silence follows. Hours pass before the freezer door creaks open. Smoke fills the air, the house reduced to blackened ruins. The survivors crawl out, coughing, their faces covered in ash, but Paul is gone. Suddenly, a burning creature, half-live and furious, drags itself from the rubble. It lunges at them in one last desperate attack. Exhausted but alive, they escape to the car. Charlotte drives as the boys collapse in the back seat, Rocco curled between them. For the first time in years, they see the stars in the night sky, unobscured by fear. At dawn, they return to the ruins to salvage what little remains. Together, they bury their father, marking the grave with stones. Tears fall, but there is no time to stay. They load supplies into the car, share one final look at the home that protected them for 15 years, and drive away. With Rocco beside them and the open road ahead, the brothers and Charlotte set out into the unknown, carrying Paul's lessons with them. Their fight isn't over, but now they are ready. And that's how Arcadian ends, a tale of sacrifice, family, and survival in a world where the night belongs to monsters.